what I was just talking about, like how like a lot of problems are rooted in emotion. Another thing I realized too was that this is like where I would get nervous from like criticism. And like I kind of like realized like how to actually deal with like hate comments and stuff. You know, people just talking shit, whatever. I'd always get like really nervous. Like I don't know why. I just like this confrontation. And I think this just goes back to my childhood because like, you know, I got an older brother and every time I get into arguing with this dude, he just fucking punch me. So it's like I kind of just associate disagreement with just getting hit because I would just you just beat me up, man. You know? So it's like there's like that emotional fear that's like the root of these issues. And what I realized is that like when people say shit about you and like they say like some I don't know some hate comment, right? They say that you're ugly, some shit like that. The ones that hurt are the ones that you subconsciously believe. The ones that you don't believe don't hurt at all. So the real way to deal with these hate comments, or like someone comments at you, is not to deal with like the comment itself. It's to deal with yourself. So it's like someone says, "You smell like shit," right? You smell like poo poo. If you don't smell like poo poo, that's not going to affect you at all because you know you don't smell like poop, you know? But if you have like an emotional, let's say you grew up smelling like shit, like you're poor, and someone says you smell like shit, that's going to hurt. The hurt doesn't come from the comment, it comes from like this unhealed emotional injury, this emotional bruise. So what I realized is that like you can actually use hate comments to like feel better about yourself. Like they are direct markers towards what you are neglecting emotionally, like insecurities that you have. They literally show you what you aren't confident in yourself about, and then you could use that to sit with that emotion and get rid of it. You see what I'm saying? Like if someone said my hair sucks, that would not bother me at all because I got like some busting ass curls, bro. Like my curls are on point, bro. So it's like if someone says some shit about my hair, like that's not gonna bother me. But if someone says some shit like, I don't know, I look overweight because I've been cutting weight for like the past 8 months. If someone says that shit, like that would low key be like, yo, come on. You know, that like low key hurt because like I still like feel low key fat. Like I still feel fat a little bit. Even though cognitively I know I'm not fat. This is where it goes back to like IQ versus EQ. I know I'm not fat. Like I'm probably within like the top 1% of physiques like in the world. Like I have a really good physique. Cognitively I know this, but I don't feel that way because the issue doesn't lie on a cognitive level, it lies on an emotional level, these emotional injuries that haven't healed. This is from being a fat kid growing up, being a skinny kid growing up, where I'm just really insecure about my body. So if someone says a comment about my body, I can learn to use that. The comments that bother the most are usually the ones that you subconsciously believe. So you can just use those as like waypoints to what you need to work on in yourself. And then when you find out what it is, don't argue against it because I already cognitively know I'm not fat. I already cognitively know I have a good physique. I know this. I don't feel it though because it's not, the problem isn't on a rational level, it's on an emotional level. So that's some shit I just learned. Like this is how you get thick skin. It's really not thick skin. So that's the other thing I want to talk about is when people say, "Oh, you just got to get thick skin to stop dealing with hate comments." This just teaches you how to just turn off your emotions altogether. When you just, if someone says some shit about you being fat and then you just be like, "Oh my God," like you said something, "Oh, fuck that, whatever, I don't even care, whatever." You just like block off that emotional injury that you have. You just get better at dissociating yourself from your emotions. And the way emotions work is that neurologically, if you want to mute one of them, you know, let's say you don't want to feel sadness, then you mute all your emotions. You can't turn down one emotion without muting them all. If you don't want to feel this fear that you have of being called fat, now you're not going to feel as happy tomorrow. Now you're not going to laugh as hard tomorrow. This is how people start, like when you hear people say someone's heart is hardened, this is literally like what it is. It's like they just learn to like turn off their emotions. That's one solution you can do for these hate comments, but it is like not healthy at all. The best way to do is just to heal these bruises, you know? Heal your emotional bruises so then when the comments come, they don't even hurt anymore. Instead of just like taking medication to numb the bruise, just get rid of the bruise in the first place. Instead of medicating that shit, just get rid of the injury. You know what I'm saying? Like when people say that stuff about you, find out what the emotion is and then just sit with it. Don't argue with it. Just embrace it. It's an emotion. It just is. And then eventually it will pass. You don't even have to agree with what the emotion is telling you cognitively. Just set it aside and just feel it. And that shit will pass and then you'll feel more confident after. Like this is how you build true confidence, bro. And it's something I've been doing for like the past couple of days and I feel like a top G, bro. Like I just walk in the gym and like, you know, I got my wife beater on, you know, I got the curls flowing, you know, got the pump going, man, you know, like I just feel like a G and there's not that like like that like little bit of anxiety there anymore. It's like it's like actually starting to go away. Like I really feel like I'm conquering anxiety at this point. And that's the thing I realized is that like where this dissociation came from that I dealt with, it really came from an anxiety it just, I had like a really bad anxiety that got so bad that my brain was just like, I can't deal with this anymore. We're turning off all your emotions. We're disconnecting you from the body because this is just too bad. That was like my ultimate coping response, was like dissociating. Like dissociation was like a numbing agent. It was like a medication to deal with the anxiety. So it's like, right, when I get rid of the dissociation and I turn off the numbing agent and I actually start feeling the emotions, it's gonna feel worse. Like the anxiety is like honestly felt worse in the past couple of days than it's been like in the past couple of years, but I feel more here. I feel more present because I'm no longer dissociating. Usually when you start like working on these problems, the problem is going to feel worse because you're no longer coping with it and you're actually sitting with it. It's going to feel worse and then it's actually going to go away versus you just not feeling it and it's staying there. And this, like mastering this, is like mastering the mind, and what I'm talking about when I talk about like improving at Counter-Strike. This literally makes you play better, learning these things, because now when you get in a game and you're playing against an opponent and he's talking shit, you're not going to get amped up and worked up about it because he's talking shit. You have a solid mental mind. It's not going to affect you. Like this is all part of mastering your mind for any sport. Just apply it to Counter-Strike too, because it's literally a sport. Like people who think it's different you're dumb. Yeah, that's the thing too, is that usually when people say that stuff, they talk shit, it's usually coming from a place of hurt. I used to be a fucking troll too, man, when I hated myself and I was down bad. But like people who are like actually confident in themselves and actually love themselves, like they don't have a need to bring other people down. So it's like you low-key can like feel pity for people who talk shit. They're in a bad spot. But yeah, I would be careful, because I remember reading stuff like that and it's like, oh, I shouldn't care about what people say. So like if I feel fear, that means if I feel fear because they said something about me, that means I believe what they say. You could still feel these emotions without agreeing with them. You just are feeling them. And the way I can prove this is that, let's say someone scares you, like you walk in your house and someone pulls a prank on you and they're wearing a clown mask and they scare the shit out of you. They're gonna like scare you and you're gonna get really scared and they're gonna take off the mask, and cognitively they're not a clown, like someone trying to kill you anymore, but you still feel scared. So you can still feel a certain way without agreeing with it cognitively, with how you feel, and you're allowed to feel that way. So if someone says some shit about me saying I'm fat, I can still feel a little nervous, insecure. It doesn't mean I have to agree with it. And that's how you actually get rid of it, is by feeling like where that root emotion comes from. It's like, oh, a fear of judgment. Someone says something about me, I'm scared of what they're gonna think about me, and you actually sit with the emotion. Some shit I realized, man. Some deep shit.